audiences that came. So pretty much, that's all I'd like to say. And you guys have been quite great, and I hope that tonight's ceremonies go well and everything is okay and everything's great. So yeah, I want to thank you all. Thank you. It's good to see you all. It's good to see you.
Up next, we're gonna have Charles King. He is shortlisted for the copy. Please come inform you is amazing.
The rib and shred of flesh being hacked and sliced and bone being broken at the center of the circle was so distinct in the darkness, it was as if it was happening inside my very head. Except that it wasn't. I was sitting on my haunches on the very edge of the circle. The dry, sparse earth was still hot from the relentless day. I faced outwards into the darkness and the wildness. My hunched back shielded me from the hellish epicenter just 5 meters behind. Polaroids would later be the only proof that these were once invisible youths. Now their suntans were pale, their spines curved, stomachs bloated, and their hair thin or gone. These sordid celebrations of the cult of masculinity and violence would take place over slaughtered meat and brandy with coke, the beverage of false coverage and aggression, and the numbing and bloated national drink of the South African Defence Force. Thank you.
Wow. It's something to listening to the writer read that story. Changes how you were reading it before you interacted with them, right? Up next, we're gonna hear Sada Malufanchi's story, Finding Biabanga. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here, so we're gonna have Troy Oyango from Nkara Ruby, where this non-fiction stories are published, who's gonna read Sada's story. Troy? Woo!
I am in Kaduna finding Binyavanga. Northern Nigeria is a complicated entity, a blurry image in black and white, and Kaduna is the epicenter of that complexity. Kaduna used to be a city of one people, one identity, but we stretched and stretched Kaduna till it became a city of parallels and faith and identity. I have not been to this part of Kaduna, the Christian part, for more than a decade now, since after the bloody crisis in the early 2000s. A week earlier, Katie had sent me a message on WhatsApp. We will be holding a literary evening with Binyam. Awesome, I replied, can't wait. I am in a hotel bar. A figure walks in, staggering, swaying, a colorful mohawk, blue and a mix of cypress. As we reveal ourselves, little dots following each other in a queue. Every so often, a female nurse officer will protrude her head and glance towards this old crew, heralded by Binyam, with his one-sided mohawk and 3/4 baggy trousers. We are awed being looked at. We are carefree, intellectualism binds us, and we are one together here, the only thing existing. All 5 of us different, but when we are discussing, we are bound, one people, one rhythm, huddled together. We find a new lease of life under the zinc roofing. We leave the hospital tired and shuffling our feet. I drive us back to the hotel. Binya sits in the front seat. Katie calls it the hot seat. I realize that because I have to answer every single one of Binya's questions, and Binya is like an empty well trying to fill up with knowledge. Fast, I am talking, I am learning, slowly finding Binyavanga.
Okay, thank you, Joy. So yeah, as you said, this is A Long Way From Home by Vivian Ogubana. There's a saying among the Igbo that a person who asks for directions does not lose his way. Frankfurt, January 2001. So you want to travel all over Germany before you get there? The porter was burly, his English heavily accented. The girl beside me had called his attention to my ticket. Glowering, he said I should have disembarked at the previous station, where I'd boarded the train to Bielefeld. I started to explain, but his look scalded me into silence. I shrank into my seat, certain that I was lost in this bleak, distant place. I gave him 100 Deutschmark note. He inspected it, and seeming satisfied, issued me with another ticket. Other passage lists and maps were written in Dutch, and this alienated me further. But I soon discovered that all the staff at the information desk at the Hauptbahnhof could speak English. So several times a day I popped in to ask for directions. At other times I preferred losing my way, rambling along until I unlost myself. I'd come for a trade fair and I needed to make contact with people. But Nigeria was a pariah nation at the time, and people became guarded upon introduction. Some would ask me to call, and when I did, they wouldn't pick their calls. Eventually, I stopped revealing my identity. But that all changed the day I walked into a flower shop, manned by a white girl. She said she was South African, and buoyed by the news of our common heritage, I bought 4 cacti from her.
Now I'm gonna call in Isi Osondo. I've always wanted to ask him if Isi is a shorter version of its name, but yeah. He's the chair of the non-fiction prize, and he has some wonderful things to tell us. Come on.
I'm here to announce the winners of the prize. I'll make it straight and short. No, I'll extend the torture. I think some of the one of the interesting things about prizes is the fact that I get a chance to be on this side instead of being on this side. Years ago, I was shortlisted for a prize called the King Prize. And I remember we went to dinner at the Bodleian Library in Oxford, and I sat on the table, all the shortlisted writers sat on different tables. And I remember sitting with a guy called Miles Morland. He's now known in literary circles. Then he wasn't, because shortly thereafter he endowed a prize or so. So I remember sitting with him, and he turned to me and he said, "You know, I've been attending Ken Prize dinners for years, and do you know that every year none of the shortlisted writers who sits on my table ever wins the prize?" So I basically just died and said, "Oh Lord, so I've come all this way for nothing." And he said, "That's the way it appears." And I said, "Thank you very much." And I said, "What do you suggest?" He said, "I suggest we start drinking." So there were like tons of Noir on the table. So we just, both him and I, we started drinking it like we're drinking water. And so at some point I needed to use the bathroom, because I've been drinking lots of the Noir. So I wasn't even listening to what was happening on stage. So I went to the bathroom. And then when I went to the bathroom, I washed my face, kind of tried to be a man, gathered my thoughts, and then I went outside, and I also saw what guys they were. Who's sabotaging me? So I saw some other guys, they were also, one of them was on the shortlist, my friend Pasadelo. So he was having a smoke with some other people. So I went to him and I whispered, I said, "Pasadelo, good luck, but for me it's over." And he said, "Oh, how do you know that?" And I told him the story, and he said, "Oh, so sorry." I said, "Okay, that's it." So I sat around with those other guys, and that was really far away from the venue of the event. So they were about to announce the winner, and the guy, a very nice guy, an older man called Nick, was looking around for myself and Pasadelo. Of course, he was looking around more for me. So he was wondering, he moved around and he didn't see me. And this took him like 10 minutes, and they couldn't announce the prize. And then after Pasadelo was done with the smoke, and we were now strolling back inside, and he said, so Nick came out, he kind of lumbered to me and said, "Where have you been?" I said, "Well, we're just chilling somewhere." He said, "Chilling? Better come, you see, you've won the King Prize." And I said, "That." So that was really cool. And it's good. I'm sure I wouldn't be telling the story now if it did turn out, as Miles Morland said, that nobody on his table had ever won. So when I came here, I tried not to sit near any of the shortlisted writers. so that nobody will tell them, any kind of story. I'm very excited to judge this prize. One of the things I have to say is that Africa has a lot of problems, but literature is not one of them. It's amazing. It's when you talk about all the problems that Africa has, the arts and literature in particular is one of those areas where we have triumphed over and over again. And why it's so great is simply not because of past achievements, but future potential. It's unlike the stock market where the people will say, past performance is no guarantee of future returns. I think that in literature, African literature, you can say that future returns are really very much guaranteed. And reading the stories, the non-fiction entries for this prize has kind of given me even more assurance that as far as literature is concerned, Africa is on course. And that's a great feeling. I want to say that one of the things that has always struck me when I read work by African writers, both my contemporaries and those who are not, and those who have written before me, is that we always have a sense of story. That you can never take away. I teach fiction writing. I teach creative fiction writing in North America. And I have to say that my students, there are some of them are really great, some of them are not, some of them. But one of the things you'll see is that they are really very competent writers. That is to say, the story is well formatted, Times Roman, 12 points, pages, margins justified, the stories are theirs. But one of the things you keep asking is, so where's the story? Because for some, nothing much has happened, and so there is not much to tell. But that's not something that you will say about writing from the continent. There is always a sense of story, there is always a strong sense of narrative, and that is something. I think that there is a lot of hope for African literature. Those who are pessimistic about the continent, I think that if there is anything that will save the continent, is its writers and its work, its fiction and its non-fiction, and the writers who are coming after those who are already here. I'm very excited to be in Uganda. I've never been here. I feel almost like I don't want to leave. My family would be very sad if I decided to stay back. It's really great. So, after all that beating about the bush, I would like to talk about the stories. It's interesting for me that, each of these stories is so different, but they also seem so alike. Each of the writers, same one is writing about their experience in South African armed forces. The other one is writing about meeting a Kenyan writer. The other person is writing about, it's like almost like a travel piece, a trip to different countries in the West. And you will think that these pieces are so far apart, but reading them I also come to realize how similar they are. They seem to share this sense of being stories about relationships, being stories about coming together when something seems very strange, being stories about getting to know the other. And so I read them, and myself and my fellow judges really had like a difficult time deciding who the first place winner is going to be, or who the second place winner is going to be, or who the third place winner is going to be. And I was almost tempted to do the American thing, which is really like crap. That is, give a medal to every kid who participates in a soccer game. You're all winners, you're all winners, you're all winners, which is rubbish. If everybody is a winner, then the word winner doesn't mean anything, right? It becomes like loser. But that's how good the stories were. But ultimately, we have to decide that there has to be the first place winner and the second place winner and the third place winner. So I would like to start from the bottom. So this shouldn't be happening now. So the third place winner, for the non-fiction Writivism non-fiction prize is A Long Way From Home by Vivian Ogbonna. Is Vivian Ogbonna here? Is her avatar here? Yes. The second place winner is a story called Finding Bilavanga by Sada Malumfashi. His avatar is here? Yes, right? So, yeah. So what do you get? A handshake. Congratulations. Yes. And so it goes without saying that Charles King has won. And so I'm going to give you this oversized check and say we were very impressed by your work. It showed the word that comes to mind when we read your work, two words came to mind: sure-footedness and fluency. Now, these are very interesting words, sure-footedness and fluency, especially because this is supposed to be a prize for beginning writers. But your work came across as very sure-footed and fluent, and the judges were very impressed by it, and we are very, very enthused about seeing your future work. Yes, years ago, I remember I keep talking about this prize as if I should win more prizes. But when I won the Kane Prize, I remember I collected the check, and Ben Okri, the Nigerian writer, turned to me and said, you know, Isi, it's good that you've won this, but you have to write the novel. And I looked at him like, you crappy guy. Let me spend this money first. You know, what is wrong with you? Why are you telling me this? You know? But years later, I came to realize how profound that word of advice is. So I know you want to spend the money, but I would say we look forward to reading your future work, and you owe us that book. Congratulations.
Wow. But I did tell you guys he's going to tell us wonderful things, right? Charles, do you want to say something? Yeah.
She's been doing nothing but social media and marketing since I met her, and that was online a little while ago. I just want to say thank you, and I want to say thank you for the encouragement. I also want to say I've experienced nothing but hospitality, kindness, compassion, and the kindness of strangers since arriving in this country and city. And this is my first story. It was a very lonely process and came after many, many years of fear and insecurity. So I always thought writing was an awful thing to do, and I still think it is, and a very lonely thing to do, which JJ will, I'm sure he's here, famous JJ. Oh, very lonely thing to do. So I think the best thing that's happened to me is being part of Writivism. It started very meekly following you guys on Twitter a while ago, was to realize, and especially with getting here, that there's an incredible network of human beings, and they are essentially kind and really awesome people. I've always seen, for various reasons, if I squint my eyes a bit and look at the African continent, I've always seen it as an exclamation mark. Firstly, for the power of the continent and the enormous potential that exists here, but on a slightly negative note, I've always seen my home country as the dot at the bottom of the exclamation mark. It tends to be isolationist. It's kept itself often away from the rest of the continent and has often been pretty imperialistic. So that's the nice thing now, as being part of Writivism, I've realized that I really want to bring the dots and the exclamation together, and I want to really I just think there's amazing creativity and amazing stuff going down in this continent, and I'm really, really grateful to have the doors slightly open so that I can just have just a whiff of what's going down here. I think it's absolutely awesome. So thank you for your hospitality and kindness.
We're gonna now move to the short story prize.
We're going to hear some stories from the shortlisted writers. We're going to start with Munashim Amar for Stolen Pieces. He's here.
Good evening, everyone. Stolen Pieces. Primary 6, age 9. Gender, male. My cousin Ikenna, he was 15, I was 9. In 2001, mother invited him for a long vacation at our 3-bedroom apartment in Oka. And while we were playing husband and wife in my room, he threw his huge arms around my neck and asked me to kiss him. Suddenly, I couldn't think anymore. I couldn't breathe anymore. My head was swollen. My legs felt heavy. Please, he said, bringing his mouth to my face in slow motion. That was when I stepped back. I ran to the bedroom and bolted the door with trembling hands. Class, Year 3, Department of Mass Communication, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Age 19. Gender, male, not sure. Father Albert slipped into the story at a time when I was searching for something bigger than faith. I had gone to Mass that day, and as I sat in the congregation listening to Father Albert's sermon, listening to the rise and fall of his voice as it rang out like a metal gong, like a sweet melody rising up to heaven, I wondered how people managed to concentrate on his sermon. By the time the Mass ended, and Father Albert and his retinue of altar servers marched into the sacristy, I was certain I would return to the chaplaincy again. It was Tuesday morning when I went to see Father Albert in his office. I did not mind waiting in a long queue for over 2 hours and watching the overzealous catechist prance around in an effort to assert his authority. "You do not make noise here, oh," he told one woman trying to talk to a pregnant woman beside her. The man's drama made me laugh, and I imagined him as a character in a story. Father Albert's small air-conditioned office looked simple when I finally went in.
So, my short story is entitled Mobage. J'ai 15 ans et j'ai le sida. C'est ma seule étiquette et certainement mon seul exploit. Gardez pour vous vos pupilles teintées de pitié et vos mots de vieilles ridées. Je parie que vous n'êtes pas plus heureuse que moi. J'ai appris à m'assumer. J'ai choisi chaque raie de mon crâne rasé, chaque piercing de mon nez tatoué. Et bientôt, très bientôt, je maîtriserai chaque reflet de mon regard fané. J'ai 15 ans et j'ai le sida. Quelle partie préférez-vous? Mon âge gorgé de possibles garçons de joie. Ça ne se dit pas un garçon de joie. Aussi, mais ça renvoie à la vraie joie. Et puis, qu'est-ce qu'on vend quand on est prostitué? Le plaisir ou la jouissance? Le moment ou le summum du moment? Dans un cas comme dans l'autre, la prostituée est toujours à la solde du client, qui peut décider qu'il n'a pas eu de plaisir, qu'il n'a pas assez joui, ou même qu'il n'a éprouvé aucun plaisir à jouir. Oui, sa mère avait un métier bien compliqué. Ce ne sera pas le sien. Elle aimait trop son moi intérieur pour permettre que des inconnus le violent. Alors, we'll just stop there with the noise.
But we're going to be getting an extract translated. So that first part, Regine read, and this will give us a feel of that character who doesn't want our self-pity. I am 15 and I have AIDS. This is my only tag and most certainly my only exploit. Keep your self-pity and your old women's wrinkles. I can bet that you aren't happier than me. I have learned to accept myself. I chose every line of my shaved head, every piercing on my tattooed nose. Soon, very soon, I will master each reflection of my downcast eyes. I am 15 and I have AIDS. Which do you prefer? My age, filled with possibilities or this invincible illness? Choose. And as you choose, I will know what to tell you. And so she goes on to tell us about her birth in an unlit road, in a car, a birth that was recounted to her by a mother who was a prostitute on that unlit road. Thank you.
My story was called Fairies. It's an excerpt, it's a chapter from the novel that I have just completed, right? So every day I can't wait to get home from school. Our yard is like a very important place full of important, busy people. There's a machine digging a giant hole in our backyard. The sand that they're piling up is full of worms and creepy stuff, but it makes the best mud cakes. When the machine came, they had to take out my swing to make space for it. Even though that makes me a little sad, I know they're just making space for something even better, a swimming pool. I'll invite friends over and maybe I'll show them the place in Mummy's garden where I leave out my tea sets for the fairies. Maybe when they come, I'll actually see a fairy, not just a broken wing from one. When I showed it to Mummy, she said it was from a butterfly. For a clever person, she sure has a lot to learn. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get magical mermaids who need a place to stretch their swimming muscles and decide to use our pool for it. The uncle is at the house often now, checking up on the boulders. They're digging a foundation for the extension. Obviously, it can't be the same foundation like the one Mommy uses on her face. She doesn't need a spade for hers. But sometimes, when she's not around, Daddy jokes and says that she needs a shovel to take it off at night. Then he laughs at his own joke as if it was very funny, and I don't like him very much because what he said was so mean. Sometimes, Mummy invites the uncle to stay for supper. His name is Uncle Farid. He smiles a lot and laughs harder than anyone I've ever met about any joke he hears. I don't want to get fat, Uncle Farid. I feel shy saying this, as though I just told him a big secret. Nonsense. You're beautiful. That's why I like you so much. Your Mommy and Daddy must be very proud of you. He smiles at me when he says this, and again, I feel bad for not liking him in the beginning. He's just a friendly uncle. He takes out a packet of jelly tots from his pocket. See what I brought for you. He holds it out to me. My stomach growls and I think some jelly tots would be a lacquer snack. Jazakallah, I reach out to take it. He pulls it away. No, Asma, you must come sit here, on my lap, if you want the jelly tots. I won't hurt you. Okay, but you mustn't tell Mommy you gave me sweets. She'll be cross with me. I go to him and he picks me up, puts me on his lap. That will be our secret, he winks. You know how to keep a secret, right, Asma? Definitely, I say, already stuffing a jelly tot into my mouth. Good girl, he says. And for today, I feel like a good girl. I feel special.
So up next, we have Andrew Dakalira. He's from Malawi. His short story is called The Unlucky One. He couldn't come, so we're gonna have an avatar. And our avatar is innocent, immaculate. Step.
The word is enough to pry your unwilling eyes open, as if forcefully waking you from a bad dream. The little gears in the softness of your medulla immediately get to work. You are not home. Your peripheral vision confirms that. The lush green makes you tilt your head. The tall, thick trunks covered with rainbow-colored flowers are as overwhelming as the smooth grass that reminds you of a football pitch. You drink this in, temporarily forgetting the first thing you saw, the giant brown suit in front of you. It seems not to have forgotten you, however, because it turns around and the head protruding from its collar speaks. Is it there, fella? Just take deep breaths and relax. You'll be okay. You start wondering just what the hell the chocolate-faced colossus is talking about, and then you realize that your left knee is right here. The only thing we are all sure of is that we are moving forward. Moving forward towards what? A black door, says the giant. At least that's what the guys in front tell us. A door surrounded by a bunch of floodlights. People keep disappearing around that place. You want more answers, which the giant is unable to provide. In between the involuntary blackouts, conversation switches between frivolity and banality, with Redbeard an enthusiastic contributor. He seems to forget about the presence of the little boy, his narrations filled with countless expletives. The giant is still surprisingly hushed, an occasional booming laugh obstructing the look of a man wishing to forget his past, least of all discuss it. What's happening over there? Have we stopped moving? A woman's voice asks from what seems to be miles behind you. Yeah! What's the hold up? Why are we hanging around here? Another voice speaks up, his accent seemingly adding vowels where there shouldn't be. Shut your traps, Redbeard shouts in reply. You notice the lights changing as you progress. The incandescent brightness slowly changes hue as you move along. The kaleidoscopic brush it attains reminding you of the northern lights you had sometimes seen on television, never in person. So mesmerizing are they that after your next blackout, it takes a while to notice the sudden quietness. There is no funny accent, no foul language. Redbeard is gone. The giant is the only one in front of you now, and he does nothing but stare straight at the little black door that seems to have appeared from nowhere. There is no wall supporting it, with the bright light stretching beyond it. The dread-filled pouch that is your heart suddenly picks up pace. I guess this is it, my man. The giant interrupts your hypnotism session. I doubt we'll see each other again after this next spasm. The man with the red beard, did he? Well, I did not see him leave, the giant says. But with what we've experienced here, it is not impossible to assume he has disappeared through that door, is it? No, I suppose not, you say. I do hope we meet again on the other side of that door, or wherever it leads. Perhaps we will finally have answers. Yes, maybe we will, replied the giant, his tone awash with skepticism. The name is Chiamiko, by the way. You're a good man, Chiamiko, you say, as you move to take his outstretched hand. But before he learns what your own name is, the other man suddenly withdraws his hand and gives you a gloomy stare. I am not a good man. I haven't been for a long time. He then faces towards the door again, and you know the conversation is over. Step.
So this story has no end by Blessing J. Christopher, who's a Nigerian author, and unfortunately she can't be here this evening. But I'm going to be reading an excerpt from the beginning of her story. This thing happened in stages. First the rain grew reluctant and visited us only once a year, but one year it stopped coming altogether. Then the sun became a spiteful ball of fire, because there was no rain to challenge its authority. When I reached the square, the crowd did not part from me, and the women did not spit in my direction. It seemed like no one remembered that an outcast like me had no place in the village. Someone pushed me towards a circle of boys, and I stumbled in. The circle was smaller than it used to be. Too many boys had dropped from thirst and hunger. The ones left to form the circle had scanty, mud-colored hair and weary eyes that roamed in bottomless sockets. Their stomachs were hollow concaves, rendered so by years of emptiness. Their skins had become threadbare coverings for bones that barely held them up.
So we are at the point where we are going to, hear from the judges. So the chair for this prize is Helen Habila, who unfortunately couldn't come. And Samaya also is one of the judges, but she couldn't come as well. But we have three of the judges here, and which draw. Let's give it up for her. Aisha Atta. And Emmanuel, come this side. Well, oh, okay. So yeah, that is so embarrassing. Okay, you guys can do it.
Wow. They are passing it to me because I'm standing in for the head judge. So I'm being the head judge tonight. So 5 stories, 5 interesting stories. which were difficult but fun to judge. From This Story Has No End to Mubash, who doesn't want to be pitied, Stolen Pieces, Self-Discovery Story, The Unlucky One, Facing Judgment After Death, and Fairies, which is a very vivid story of a girl being groomed by an uncle. But there has to be one winner, and I'm the only one wearing heels, but you cannot stand on these heels for too long. So the winner is Stolen Pieces! Yes, wow! You can say a few words.
Okay. So it's so unbelievable that this is happening. So unbelievable, because at the point when I sent the story, when I saw the announcement for the long list, I wanted to write and ask for a withdrawal of the story from the long list for some reasons. But then I feel so honored and grateful. One, to Chimamanda Adichie, who expressed so much belief in my writing last year. I went through a process of rediscovering myself last year, and it was really very helpful. I also want to thank the judges of this prize. I still don't know what you see in that story. I want to thank the organizers of Writivism. I also want to thank readers. I've gotten lots of positive feedback from people writing me and saying that they felt really moved by my story, and that means a lot to me. I want to thank everyone who read and liked my story. And finally, I'd also like to say that this prize, this winning, is for all of us, each and every one of us. Everyone going through any kind of struggles, whatever it is that this life has presented you with, whatever journey that you're going through, that your story is valid and that it matters, and everyone has a space on this table of life. Thank you very much.
Guys, I want you guys to help me with this next part. I want you guys to actually all stand up. Let's do that. All of us, let's stand up. And I'm gonna call out some people on stage, and I really want you guys to scream and just really give these people love, because they're just really incredible. I'm getting a bit emotional because the Writivism team, it's just what they do for us as young writers, beginner writers, literary lovers, literary creators is really inspiring. And it is not easy to run any literary infrastructure. It really takes a lot. And if you guys have been watching, they've just been really trying that level of best to give us an experience of a lifetime, and they did. I want you guys, the Writivism team, Esther, come in front. The Writivism founder, where is he? Boy CJ. And everyone in the Writivism team come in front, because what you guys do is really, really inspiring. And you guys need to scream and give them some love, because they are amazing. Come up. Who else is missing it? Roland! Come on here! Roland! They have been really amazing, taking care of everyone, trying to make, I know how hard it's been like for you guys from the very beginning of organizing this. But what you guys do, you open a new world for beginner writers, for Charles, for Monachim, whose day just changed, their whole life just changed because you guys do this, and you do it from the bottom of your heart, from passion, from just incredible dedication. I don't even know how they do it, guys. I actually thought they were like 40 years old, but just look at them. Like they're young people who are so passionate and they do so much. Let's give them some round. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Guys, so much for coming and being here with us and sharing this festival with us. It's been a lot, but we're so grateful to everyone, to Kemi for her man play, to everyone. We're thankful to the judges. Thank you so much for giving us your time to judge the prize. Thank you so much to the volunteers, to everyone who is here. Thank you so much to Brood for giving us food, and the Square for giving us this place, and everyone who has been here. I can't mention everyone. You guys have been amazing, and we're sorry for everything that hasn't gone right. These things happen. But thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's been a lot, and we're very grateful to everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming to Kampala.